It was mid-September in 1965 when about 1,000 students headed to Nashville to be part of the freshman class at Vanderbilt, to be the class of '69. We were heralded as the best class ever at Vanderbilt. Ironically, if we were applying today, very few of us would be admitted. Fraternity Rush began on Friday, September 24th, kicking off a week of shaking hands, trying to smile, and being confused about just where you belonged. We spent a week going from house to house. And then, on Sunday evening, October 3rd, we entered Neely Auditorium, and 36 of us pledged Phi Delta Theta. We came out and all gathered under a large tree. To our right, we could hear a crowd saying, "Hep-raw, hep-raw, 3 cheers for Alpha Tau, A-T-O." To our left, another group shouted, "Wheat, barley, alfalfa, give 'em hell, Kappa Alpha." And then in unison, we yelled out, "1, 2, 3, it's great to be a Phi." Well, we certainly didn't join Phi Delta Theta for the cheer. That night we walked over to Ireland's for a memorable dinner with the brothers, who had rushed us and had given us bids. The next week in the Hustler, they listed all who had pledged fraternities and sororities. There we were, in black and white, all 36 of us. But why did we have such a large pledge class? The answer is in the math. Here is the composition of the fraternity before we pledged. There were 21 seniors, only 9 juniors, and 30 sophomores. The question is, what happened to the juniors, the class of '67? Well, for the backstory, we have to turn to Guy Mitchell. Guy was a senior from Tupelo, Mississippi. Now, not only was he Mr. Commodore in 1965, he was also the Phi Rush Chairman. You might say Guy led the charge for the Commodores and also for the Phis. Now, after Vandy, Guy went to law school at Ole Miss. Then he became a Navy JAG, living in Washington, D.C. And after his active duty, he joined the law firm in Tupelo that his grandfather had started back in 1904. Over the last 50 years, the firm has grown to 5 offices. Guy is now retired, but still living in Tupelo. Hello, Guy. What really did happen to the class of '67?
It's a really interesting thing. I think, Jim, we had gotten too complacent about what a wonderful group we were, and that everybody just wanted to be part of our group, and that we were going to be very exclusive. We decided that we were not going to. We were going to have higher standards on our pledges. So we didn't pledge. My recollection is that we didn't pledge but about 15. One of the ones that we had fought for with the SAEs from Nashville decided that there were more of his buddies across the street than with us. So he depledged and went SAE. But anyway, that kind of started the downhill deal. There was a guy named Jim Gordon, and I'm going to get that wrong. I think that's right. Who was in that class, and he started dating Maria Beale Fletcher, who had been Miss America, the only Vanderbilt woman to be Miss America that I'm aware of. But anyway, he was dating her, and one of the seniors offended her terribly at one of our parties, and so he depledged, and he took a couple of guys with him and just said they didn't like our Animal House atmosphere. Yeah. Down there, and they wanted to go to a more Christian group, so they depledged and went to Sigma Chi. And then we had I think it was just 2, but there was a guy named Lucian Davis who was from Jackson, Mississippi, and his good friend was Johnny Bruno, and we pledged both of them, and Bruno stayed with us, but Lucian Davis decided he would go SAE. So I'm sure I've not identified each one of them, but that's how we ended up with about 9. But anyway, the idea was we need to pledge at least 30. and we got on a roll and ended up, what did you say, 36?
36.
So we were making up for the slack year.
Was there a game plan for Rush that year?
Game plan was we need all hands on deck. You don't need to leave this up to a Rush chairman and a co-chairman to try to get things organized and get attendance and identify the freshmen that you might be interested in, primarily in Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama. I think there were a couple from Alabama we were really interested in, and we need everybody on all hands on deck. So that's what we were doing. And interesting. I went back and thought about what I had done that summer. I was interning with a local bank, and when they offered me the job, I said I may not be able to accept this because I'm the fraternity Rush chairman, and I've got to be somewhere almost every weekend this entire summer. And they said, well, why don't you just work 4 days a week, Monday to Thursday, and then you can have the weekends. And I said, that'll work. And I pulled out early Friday morning, almost every Friday, and drove all over the place for Rush parties. And we had, whatever you want to call them, assistant Rush chairman in all the big cities to identify people and to make all the plans. We did really well to get 36 and to make it enough of a pleasant experience that everybody stayed.
Looking back, are you glad you were in a fraternity?
Look, I thought the Greek experience was really good. It was good to me. You may remember that the Zebes were right next to us, and the Phikeias were joined backyards over that alley. I remember well that there was some, I won't call it animosity, but there was some dislike among some members of the ATO chapter and some of our chapter. And do you happen to remember the song that the ATOs would sing occasionally? They would usually a few drunks late on a Saturday evening. I mean, late, maybe early Sunday morning, right, sing or chant, Phi Delta Theta, we are pissing on your lawn. Phi Delta Theta, we are pissing on your lawn. Phi Delta Theta, we are pissing on your lawn. Come out and we'll piss on you. Good experiences like that, fun experiences. I remember the Title House with great affection. I think the Greek system, while being downplayed and de-emphasized at Vanderbilt, was a big part of my fun experience.
Well, the fraternity was also a big part of our Vanderbilt experience. Now, how can we celebrate the great work that Guy did back in 1965, the year we became Phikeias? Well, with another gathering, perhaps our last rodeo, a 60th Phikeia celebration in September 2025. We'll arrive on Tuesday, September 23, and depart Thursday the 25th, exactly 60 years after Rush began in 1965. Where will we gather? A very special place, Barnsley Resort. It's located in the center of the South, an hour north of Atlanta. Barnsley is a unique place. It is set up like a village, with the ruins of the old Barnsley plantation still standing. We'll be staying in the inn, each with our own king bedroom. We'll also have a spacious hospitality room with our own balcony. And on that Wednesday afternoon, you will have several options. They have a beautiful and challenging Fazio golf course. There's sporting clays at the Beretta shooting grounds, a large pond for fishing and or canoeing. There's a swimming pool for Bill Snow, and there's a special place for those who just like to rock around the clock. And in the evenings, we'll have our own fire pit. Barnsley is a great place, so make the commitment now to join us in September 2025 for our 60th celebration. Why do we have to commit a whole year ahead? In order to secure the rooms and the rate. Need some encouragement to attend? Well, listen to Guy Mitchell once again.
The thing that, like you and I are doing this morning, which is to touch base with people you hadn't seen in 60 years, or there may be, you may have stayed in touch with some of these folks, but I would be willing to bet not more than a half dozen or so that you really know well and have stayed with them. So to make those, renew those friendships is worthwhile.
And finally, here's a last word of encouragement.
Phikeia, this is Ernie Watkins. Your lame ass better be there.